Greetings everybody, welcome to game number 2 between these two fantastic Australian players that have flown all the way over to Dallas for MLG. This is going to be a interesting fight, of course. In the previous game we saw a very interesting last stage of the game between these two, but of course starting down at the bottom left hand side of Daybreak, his pick I believe is how it went, is Team Immunity's Mafia. And he's going to be up against his Terran foe, who did a fantastic job in the previous game, bringing out a mech style, which, as I said, I'd never seen him do before. It is Team NvRossi. Now, this map, of course, a good pick for a Zerg player. Of course, it's a very large map. You've got easy access to your natural. It's relatively simple to defend, and of course, the third base is quite simple to get to as well. Now, at MLG, they do use the double gas version of this map, not the sort of standard version where you actually have just 6 mineral patches and then a rich Vespene geyser. So it does make a slight change to the sort of high level mechanics of how this map works, but realistically in this sort of game it will only make a small difference. And I'll tell you why part of that is because Rossi is doing a proxy Rax, and it looks like it may even be a second proxy Rax as well. Yep, there it is, just sending down those two SCVs, and we'll see how Mafia responds to this. By the direction this Overlord is going, I don't think he's going to spot it. He's looking for the normal sort of proxy Rax spot, which is just over here somewhere, and you will normally see Marines be rallied down this way into the natural expand, but this is actually in a spot which I have only seen players do once before. So this is very, very interesting stuff here from Rossi, and it looks as if Mafia's other Overlord, the first Overlord that went out, is actually going to be going the long way around, which is of course a great spot to get to when you get over here, but he's not in any way going to see what's going on at the front of his opponent's base just over here. So Rossi is not going to be scouted for quite a while, and of course Mafia, being the guy who loves his drones, is not going to send one out to die. He's going to keep it inside his main base and continue on with his mining, and his pool went down just after the natural hatch did, so that's going to be a little bit behind as well. So things are going to get very interesting. In fact, there is Mafia now scouting out with one of these drones. Is he going to catch a whiff of what's coming? The timing is actually just perfect for him to actually see what's coming. Perhaps a little imperfect for Rossi. Maybe if he had have left that go to a little bit later, things could have been a little bit different, but he is going to get started on the bunker. There is a bunch of drones being brought down. Good reaction from Mafia. He knows this could be something very serious coming out of Rossi here. One of the SCVs getting caught out on the bunker. In fact, the bunker itself getting cancelled. The SCV goes down, but there is still one SCV. There is going to be some more pressure here. Of course, Rossi is not done. You don't proxy 2 racks and then just you don't give up when you lose one of your bunker attempts. So he's going to put down a second bunker attempt here. A couple lings now popping out. 2 queens are also on the way. Bear that in mind as we see the drones again coming into the battle. They're trying to force back the Marines from the bunker, and of course he wants to catch out any SCVs that are building on this bunker, and it looks as if he may get another cancel. Yes, he does. So Rossi is in a little bit of trouble here with no bunker established. Things are going to get very, very messy for him, but the Marines are in a total of, well, they're up at 6 for a moment there, but he's actually killed off 5 of the workers, so he's looking okay there. But the issue is, with no bunker, I don't think this is going to be too successful here, and Rossi may have to just try and bring the rest of his SCVs or something like that, unless he's got a very nice backup plan. But we'll see in a moment. It looks as if he is going to try and do some more damage, microing away those little Marines as best as he can, getting quite a few kills on those lings as they back away, and the bunker does look as if it will need to be cancelled yet again. So Rossi just not having any luck with trying to get these bunkers up, and now with 2 queens out and effectively just these 3 lings that are left over, that should be enough to defend against any further pressure. So Rossi is going to expand behind this. He's not going to get a Dark Shrine because he doesn't have that available, but that is certainly what a Protoss would do at about this stage. And Mafia going to have a quick look. He should know that he's relatively free to actually pop in and have a quick look at what is going on here in Rossi's base. He wants to have a quick look at what's going on with the gas. He wants to see if there are any more racks being constructed, perhaps some crazy sort of tier low style 7 rack racks is on the way, but with the knowledge that he's seen the gas and he is probably going to catch this extra command center down at the natural here, he should be content to know that there is going to be no crazy style extra follow-up all-in coming in from Rossi, but Rossi, again, trying to just be very efficient with his units here. He does have a total of 7 Marines that are now sitting here at the natural expand of Mafia, and Mafia is just going to have to be a little bit careful just for the moment. Once his spine crawler's up, he should be fine, because that's going to poke away like a crazy emu at a petting zoo, but it looks like Rossi is actually... Nope, there he is. He's bringing it all. He's bringing across the SCV train, despite the fact that he did build that command center. I'm not sure what the go is here. Perhaps he's just decided, yep, it's too late for any kind of crazy shenanigans like a follow-up to work. So what he's going to do, bring it across, go bit by bit style, and bring out a bunch of Marines and try and finish this off. And I think Mafia may have seen that there was a lack of SCVs there. He's certainly going to once this Overlord gets through, and he's certainly going to once the SCVs just roll into his front door. Rossi does have a nice total of 12 Marines here. They're doing quite a lot of damage, but the SCVs have tanked all they can tank, and the Marines are now basically the only things left standing between the doors of Mafia's base and, of course, the units from Rossi. But here we go. The drones just trying to hold back and wait for something to come out. He's got 4 Lings that are just popping out now. Is this going to be enough? 18 more Lings in construction now. If Rossi can perhaps get a kill on a couple of these Queens, he may be able to get himself in a very good spot here. Just bear in mind, back at home, he's continuing to produce two SCVs at a time, and he has double mules. So the longer this goes on, with these Marines being a lot of pressure inside this base and denying any sort of mining going on from the natural, the more this could get into a stage where Rossi can actually just have this game back in his favor. And he's actually done a great job. A nice little bit of micro to put the SCVs in front of the Marines for a short time there, which delayed the Lings getting in to kill them. And things... I don't know, this may stabilize a little bit here, because at the moment Rossi has, he does have a group of Marines that are sitting out here in the middle of the map, going to try and micro them around a little bit to kill some more of these Lings here. They're in a very good position, only 3 of them giving surface area to those Lings, and he's actually going to take those out, so that means no counterattacks are going to be able to be pushed forward from Mafia, and Mafia did, of course, drone behind this, so he picked up a whole bunch of drones, as we can see, at the natural, and he's got 3 more on the way. So Rossi, despite the fact that he basically lost every single SCV, is now back up to a total of 16, and is looking, you know, it's not looking like he can't come back and just sort of resituate himself here. He's now rebuilding, or I should say building a couple of these barracks here at the front door of his base. He may want to whack down a bunker perhaps as well, or perhaps another couple of supply depots, but no, not at all. You know what this reminds me of? Gumiho. At the GSTL finals, when FXO were competing against MVP, I want to say, maybe? Gumiho did something very, very akin to this, where he proxied 2 of his racks, put up another 2 at home, and then just made another command center and went crazy with the eco style, despite losing quite a lot of his early attack pressure. And it looks as if, speaking of which, Mafia is going to get a little bit of damage done here himself. The Marines are still quite a while from getting back home. In fact, they haven't even started the trip back home, because they know they're not going to make it back in time to actually save anything useful. But the command center getting denied for the moment by those Lings, and now it looks as if a couple of spine crawlers are going to be the only defense against any possible counter attack from Rossi. So counter attacks all over the place is the name of this current game here on Daybreak between these two fantastic Australian players. Of course, as we can see, the worker count is currently sitting at 46 for Mafia. He's doing that quite nicely, just re-droning himself, wants to get himself into a nice position where he's resituated in something that he's comfortable with, where he normally would have quite a lot of drones by now in a nice economy, but of course, his opponent did suffer quite a lot in his own harvester count, given that Rossi did have to sacrifice a bunch of those SCVs to get himself into the game. And now, as we can see, the 3rd orbital command is just on the way now, so things are starting to... I don't want to say they look kind of normal, because the way this game has panned out has been very, very interesting and sort of hardly normal. But Rossi is really getting himself back into a good position here, of course, because of that second orbital command helping out with the mules and the SCV's production as well. He was able to really get himself back into it. And is he really going to deny this third base of Mafia here? Mafia doesn't really have anything to try and defend it with. He does have a couple of lings there all the way across the map, and he does force a cancel. The drone pops into the extractor mode here to try and protect himself, cancels it, doesn't get to rebuild because the Marines are too quick on the draw there. But Mafia is going to try and establish this top base instead of trying to take this third one, because he knows it's going to be a little bit difficult to get that done. And Rossi still continuing to produce these Marines, and he's going to get a factory on the way as well. But here comes a little bit of a battle. That was around about 18 lings that were produced by Mafia, and he's going to suffer quite a few losses there, maybe losing around about half of those, I would say. But he is going to be able to clean these Marines up eventually, because the noose is now tightening around those Marines. And one thing that Rossi will be able to garner out of this is that it's 14 minutes in. Of course, we have had a lot of economic devastation on both sides, but there is still no ling speed, and in fact it just kicks in now, so he will have to start finishing up those Marine attacks and lifts up the 2 racks and going to send them back home, because there's no way he's going to be able to do any further pressure from now. And he will obviously have to start preparing for that mid to that sort of early mid to late mid sort of style that we will see from these players. And it looks as if Rossi is going to have a hard time trying to land that orbital command, but he does put it down. The lings have surrounded that. They're going to get a good grip on that orbital, cancelling and lifting. Rossi is going to lose this, I would say. I don't think... Is he going to be able to repair this? Maybe if he chucks down a mule while these while the Marines come out to try and take down the lings, he may be able to get it. But here he comes. 2 SCVs just coming along in time. Mafia trying to target them down. Gets one. Does not get the other that's at the top of the ramp. And will be able to save the orbital command for now, which does keep Rossi in the running here. And wow, he's certainly going to do the thing I mentioned that Gumiho did, which was go for proxy double racks into like a couple of orbital commands and then just switch into mech. Let's make things all crazy. We'll do all sorts of styles here. On Daybreak is the plan from Rossi at the moment. Going to pick up +1 to the vehicle weapons and armor. Throw down an extra 2 factories. We've already got 2 out. Going to produce a bunch of those Hellions to try and get some map control back. Of course, the one thing he knows is that his opponent will have a bunch of lings out at the moment. Mafia will not want to be spending too much of his gas on things like large amounts of roaches or anything like that just as of yet. And as we can see, he's going to be preparing for things like a standard bio style, which as I mentioned in the first game, is the standard sort of way that Rossi likes to play. But as we can see, he's not going to be going for that at all. The scan goes down, does catch the Bailey nest, and Rossi will be chuckling to himself right now, because he was saying, haha, he thinks that I'm going bio, but I'm actually going for a mech style yet again. And there's going to be a bunch of Hellions out, as we can see. 2 of them already just rolling out on the map at the moment, 4 of them already ahead of the pack, and now he's going to try and have a quick look to see if he can do any damage or perhaps retake this Zelnaga watchtower. So Mafia now just decided that he needs to reproduce some of these Banelings here. He's got a whole bunch of Banelings. There's a total of 22 here, prepared for some sort of bio attack, or at least to defend against anything that comes through. And he probably wouldn't be expecting things like a lot of Hellions. And it looks as if Rossi has sort of caught his opponent out for the moment. But the infestation pit is done, of course, with pathogen glands on the way. And now there is a battle. Good split from Rossi. While there aren't actually too many Marines there, they still do quite a lot of damage. Soaking up some of those Banelings as well is always nice. And the Hellions, meanwhile, have gotten inside the main base. They're not really going to get too much done, but he puts himself in a nice position and takes down some of those lings. And things are really proceeding into a very interesting pace right here. Now that Rossi has taken his third base in the middle section of the map, not the back right section, but he is going to try and take that base right now, and lings are now flooding across the map. They're going to try and get into this base here and take that down if they can. They want to try and grab some of these SCVs if possible, but they're not going to really be able to. Instead, they're going to target down one of the tanks, maybe one of the Hellions as well. SCVs providing a little bit of a buffer here for Rossi, so good job actually getting them out of the fight. But the Banelings come along, and Banelings taking hits on the Hellions, perhaps not the best idea, but Mafia has decided it's go time with 2-2 just about to finish for his melee units. This is going to be an absolute massacre here inside Rossi's natural expand. He does take down the bunker. 2 Thors are the only things remaining here, the last bastion of hope for Rossi's defense against this big flood of units, and he is going to hold off, I would say, because the SCV's, of course, repairing up the Thor, and he is going to keep that intact for the moment. But the big question is there enough to save this third base in the middle? Is there enough to try and take back some of his advantage on the map? That is the big question, which Rossi is going to be thinking to himself right about now, because his opponent just went into mass Ling mode. Mafia now sitting on 2-2 for these Lings. He's got a total of 55 Lings out on the map. His lair is already done, of course, and sorry, I should say the hive is halfway done, with the Roach Warren also being morphed in now that Mafia knows that Mech is a very strong build that Rossi is going for. And as we saw in the previous game, Rossi certainly knows how to control that Mech quite nicely, doing those slow pushes across. You don't want to get out of position too much. You don't want to let Thors be caught out by Lings or tanks be caught unsieged or anything like that. And so Rossi is now going to push through the middle, taking the Xel'Naga Watchtower, may try and get some of these Lings if possible, but he's got to be very careful because a good fungal here will absolutely devastate everything. And despite that, the Hellions fighting back. What a ridiculous battle there. The Hellions are going to be caught out in the end, but the Lings have all been roasted, and that's going to be a party for 50 people. I tell you what, with roasted Zerg Lings legs, Zerg legs Lings, something like that is going to be there with the barbecue sauce, because that was a crazy little battle. But Rossi is starting to beef that army up. We see he's up at 128 supply right now. Tanks and Hellions are on the way out because he knows his opponent is going for this Infesta Roach style yet again. So he's going to try and use some of the Hellions as a little bit of a buffer, and also try and get them to catch out the Hellions if possible. Speaking of which, Hellions now slinking their way down into the third base of Mafia, catching a few drone kills. In fact, lining them up like no tomorrow. In fact, may get a big bunch of them right now. Gets a total... The workers killed between these two players in these past two games has been insane. Rossi has gotten 50 worker kills this game alone, and his opponent has got 49 himself. So Mafia is also still doing a good job, of course, with that very big bit-by-bit style SCV Marine at the push at the start was something that he had a little bit of trouble with, but it looks as if Mafia is getting prepared. A long sweep of those roaches is there, and it looks as if they are just going to push through this base, knocking down anything in their path. The SCV is now trying to retreat. The tanks, of course, are also getting up to the high ground as well, but a beautiful fungal growth. Infested Terrans being thrown up the top like beach balls over the volleyball net, and it looks like Mafia may be able to plow his way through here just through pure brute strength. With Lings now being resupplied, we've got all of those now marching through. The +3 for Rossi is quite a ways off, so any sort of possible turtling style is not really going to survive too long, because there are Infested Terrans everywhere. There are roaches now up all in Rossi's grill, and Lings are also just everywhere, just causing all sorts of havoc. And now with Infested Terrans down on the ground, things are looking very down for Rossi at the moment, with everything starting to fall apart now. The tanks on the high ground doing their best to try and defend. Hellions as well, just trying to soak up some of the damage and do some more damage to those Infested Terrans, but there is more and more now streaming in. A red line of doom coming across the map from Mafia, and now with these wow, 14 Infestors just at the third base of Rossi there. They're going to deny that one from mining, and Rossi is now sitting on a very, very meager total of 81 supply. He does have some more tanks on the way and some more Hellions, but I don't think that's going to do too well, because there are 15 more roaches in production, plus 2 to the roach attacks is also just on the way now for Mafia, so he's going to have that in around about 10 seconds or so, and that means that this final push is going to come out here, and it should be able to seal the deal here in game number 2 between Mafia and Rossi. These two brilliant players from Australia trekking all the way over to MLG Dallas over in the States. He's going to finish off the last of these tanks, and I would think, like, after the previous game, I don't really want to cast Rossi out of the game before it ends, but it was pretty much doomed from that point, with a 163 supply Mafia bearing down on you, with roaches galore, infestors all over the place, and things looking very grim there. So Rossi, GG, well played, taps out for game number 2. And we'll go into a game number 3 between these two guys, and we'll see who is able to take the cake in the, where are we again? We're in the open bracket winners round 4 at MLG. Of course, if you want to catch all of the MLG action, it is over at MajorLeagueGaming.com/live, and we'll meet you in game number 3 in just a moment.